What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a very, special episode of Just Hoop Talk with Justin Henry. Will Thompson will be joining me shortly. And today we're going to be covering the play-in tournament, the NBA play-in tournament. Yes, it's finally here. Playoff time. We have some big names here in the play-in tournament. So before we get into all of that, we're going to break down everything. We're going to break down the matchups. We're going to talk about the players in the game. We're going to talk about everything playing, the matchups, where it's going to be on TV, you name it, because we've seen some special performances this year out of LeBron, Steph. They are going to be playing. We got to cover it. Before we get into that, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Turn on the little notifications down there at the bottom. We are covering it all. Stay tuned. And speaking of, here he is, the man himself, Will Thompson, my man. Will, how you doing, dog?
Very good. How are you, bro?
Man, another day. We got playoff basketball coming our way, man. And as you get set up, I want to put this notice up for the fans, for everybody who's watching. Here's an updated broadcast schedule for everybody to see. So we see Charlotte and Indiana are going to be playing. Washington and Boston are also going to be playing there on Tuesday. So we get a little East Coast love to begin the day, to begin the tournament. Then we get San Antonio, Memphis, day 2. And the matchup that everybody's waiting for, obviously, Golden State and LA playing that nightcap of Wednesday. And then obviously with this format, we're going to have to break down exactly how this is going to work for everybody involved. Will, how are you feeling about these matchups, my man?
I kind of want to just address the play-in situation overall. I don't know if you did that. Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, it's all good, man. I know how it is, man. And it's exciting times, dude. I don't know if you had a chance to catch some of the games today. We saw, because of the positioning, man, a lot of these teams, they wanted the Lakers to be in the playing game. But we will break that down. So obviously the 7 through 10 matchups are going to be a play-in double elimination game for the winner. So you can't lose twice. If you lose twice, you're out. Initially, the 7 and 8 seeds are going to play each other. The 9 and the 10 seeds are going to play each other, as we just saw on the little graphic there.
Yeah.
And so the winner of the 7 and 8 seed automatically gets the 7 seed. The winner of the 9-10 seed now will be playing their playoff life to be getting into, play the loser of the 7-8. So as you see here on the graphic, for Thursday and Friday, you'll see the winner of game 1 is obviously the 7 and 10 there. I'm sorry, the 9 and 10 there in the East. The game 2 is the 7 and 8, Washington and Boston. So the winner of the 9 and 10 will play the loser of the 7 and 8 seed. So you're getting the worst of the high seeds and the best of the low seeds playing each other for the number 8 seed.
Yeah.
What do you think about this format, man? Because we talked a little bit about it earlier in the season. What are your thoughts on this playoff format?
I like it, bro. I like it. And I think we saw these last week or two, we kind of saw exactly what it does. And it creates a playoff positioning atmosphere before the playoffs even come. And that's what's really exciting about it, right? Like, we just watched the game tonight. I don't know if everybody watched it, but there was a game on tonight that was damn near like a playoff game,
man,
with the Warriors and the Grizzlies, because they're fighting and they're jockeying for position, because teams are now either trying to get out of the bottom 10 or bottom 7 through 10, or they're trying to get a better position within there. So I think it worked, bro. I really do think the NBA had this vision, this idea, and I think it works. And I know they've been trying to incorporate more like in-season tournament type of things, similar to what soccer does. I know, what's his name? Adam Silver really likes the soccer model and wanted to do some of that. And I think this is kind of a baby version of what they do in European soccer, with the tournaments kind of happening within the season. So I think it's a success, man. I know if you're a team if you're a fan of a 7 or an 8 seed, you probably don't love it, especially a 7 seed. It kind of screws over the 7 seeds. But as far as a fan, looking at it from the outside looking in, I enjoy it, man. I like seeing teams coming down to the end of the season playing meaningful games,
Yeah, and it brought out you saw some of those teams that were, I think it made up for the season, for this COVID season.
Yes.
You saw some teams that struggled early on that had to get used to a shortened off season.
Yep.
Also, less teams involved there. A tighter schedule, condensed a lot of uncertainty with the season, the amount of testing that the players are going through. You saw teams like the Warriors who got off to a slow start, the Wizards who got off to a slow start. It gave them a chance to adjust. And it also kind of weeded out some of the teams that were really hot early on and then kind of fell off. We saw the Magic get off to a strong start, and then it's like they completely tanked. And unfortunately, some of the teams that had a lot of hope as well kind of fell off. We saw your Sacramento Kings kind of fall off the radar. We have our boy Nick on. He said, another season wrapped up for us, Justin. So disappointing. I hate to say I told you so, but Will and I did call this at the beginning of the season. A lot of hope for a lot of failure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a struggle because you see the same thing over and over with the Kings, man. Like, they're just good enough to almost be relevant, but they're just on the side of on the outside of relevant. And it's weird, man. Like in 18-19, when there was no play-in tournament, the Kings were the 9th seed, right? they were right? Almost in the playoffs. And so now you thought, oh, for sure, they're going to add 2 more teams. The Kings should be in. And somehow they managed to be 11th seed. Like, it's man. Like, it.
Well, 11th seed, at least they're in the running for a top 10 draft pick. We'll talk about them on another show, man. We got to get into this playoff matchup. So let's talk about the teams really quick. And let's start off West. Obviously, we have the San Antonio Spurs. The Memphis Grizzlies going to be battling it out there for that 9-10 spot. And my Los Angeles Lakers, we did sneak in there to that play, and I wish we would have had the 6th seed and had a chance to rest, but we'll take the 7th seed. And it'll be interesting to see, man, going up against a very, very hot Golden State Warriors team, as you said, already kind of playing a playoff matchup today. Let's start with the Memphis Grizzlies and Spurs. Obviously, that's not going to be the headliner. Let's start with them. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Young kind of versus the old school with Pop and DeRozan there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is interesting, man, because you're looking at a team. I like the Grizzlies. I like their young core. But they're literally – that 9-10 game is a one-game scenario, right? The 7 and 8 is you lose, you could still possibly get in. That 9-10 game, you lose, you're out. And I'm looking at teams being prepared, teams with more experience. So I'm looking at Greg Popovich, a guy like DeMar DeRozan, in a situation, a playoff type, one game, winner takes all type of situation. I'm going to lean towards those guys. I do like the pieces that they have in San Antonio. They have really good guard play. They have a bunch of young guards, man. It's kind of crazy. Loaded. So they got a bunch of guys that they can throw at Ja Morant. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good game. I'm going with the experience and the coaching in this situation, but it's going to be a good game, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think this really has no bearing on the actual playoffs itself. I don't think either of these teams gets in.
Right.
But I'm looking at these teams, and I look at Memphis, and I like what they're building, I like what they're trying to do, and it feels like they're just too young right now. Like, Ja would have to take a very substantial leap here in these next 2 games that he'd have to play in order to take that, and I'm not sure that he's there yet. You know, you got guys like Desmond Bane getting a lot of playing time right now. DeAnthony Melton's been in and out of the lineup. Got Jonas Valanciunas, he's still there, you know, kind of leading that big man front court. Brandon Clark's been here and there. Jaren Jackson's just now getting – it's like they haven't had time to, like, really gel. And when you talk about the Spurs, it's like they lost Derek White for the year. They got Murray in there playing really well at a high level. DeMar DeRozan's been in and out of the lineup. Kelvin Johnson's been playing high, playing low. They got the younger bigs down there, like – I don't know. Neither of these teams really excites me. If I had to pick one, I think I'm going to go with the experienced coaching, though. Popovich seems like he might be needing the win right now, you know, kind of for his legacy purposes. I know there was talks about him leaving San Antonio here very soon. Right. So I think he wants to have one more at least chance at a playoff spot, and I think they will push a little bit harder. I think Nick agrees with me, our guy Nick. He said Memphis and San Antonio have no chance.
Right.
LeBron and Curry is different breed in the postseason. I think he's absolutely right. And as we transition on to the Los Angeles Lakers and Warriors, I think this is going to be a really interesting test to see where LeBron's ankle is. He obviously re-injured it during the game. They said he's fine. And you got Steph Curry, who's on an insane tear since the start of April. What are your thoughts on the 7-8 matchup between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors?
It's interesting, man. You're looking at two teams that are kind of going in different directions, right? Like,
right.
The Warriors are trending up and the Lakers are definitely trending down. And the Lakers just cannot seem to stay healthy, whether it's LeBron, Anthony Davis, a knee, an ankle. What they said, it was Anthony Davis's back at some point.
Yeah,
like
everything.
Yeah, it's just like so. And you look at the Warriors, man. They look hot, and it's a one-game situation. Steph seems to be hitting on all cylinders right now. He's a scary guy, man. In a one scenario, we just saw it last night. If he gets hot, there's not a whole lot that you can do about it with this team, man. And with the injuries, it's I right now I look at the Warriors as probably the favorite. It's hard to say. I do like what the Lakers have been doing defensively. I think they'll be really physical with Steph, which I know Steph does not like. So that'll be interesting. They got some guys that they could put on him to make things difficult. It's going to be a good game, man. I wonder what the NBA is thinking right now. Like, are they like, this is ideal, man? Like, play-in scenario, two of their biggest superstars.
It's ideal, bro. Like, this is what they wanted. This is the exact matchup they wanted for playing. Like,
for sure.
Last year the playing was not fun to watch. This year it will be.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you start talking Lakers, man, I need the floor for like 3 minutes on this one right now.
Yeah.
So this matchup to me is a paper matchup. I think it's a paper heavyweight matchup. You're looking at two teams. The Warriors are not an 8 seed, and I don't think the Lakers are a true 7 seed. Right. So when you're looking at this matchup, I look at the Warriors and I'm like, okay, Steph is hot right now. Like, if he's taking 25 shots a game, this is a tough team to beat. Yeah. Right? You got Draymond pretty locked in right now. Wiggins seems to be pretty locked in. Yeah. And I think everybody started to identify their roles. Kelly Oubre has been out. So they've had other guys step up like Juan Toscaro-Anderson. Yeah. You also had Kent Bazemore kind of playing his old role with the team. So it's like the Warriors are playing at a really high level. And then the Lakers are banged up. Obviously AD's coming back. LeBron's coming back. They got the new piece there with Drummond. But here's the thing. I think during the regular season, we saw teams play off of Steph a little bit. You don't commit 3 guys to Steph during the regular season. It'll wear them out.
Yeah.
In the postseason, we're not getting bench guys coming in. We're not letting Steph just run off. You're getting starters for 40 minutes of the game. This is a whole different scenario. And the Lakers know if we're going to lose to the Warriors, it's because Steph has 35, 40 points.
Yeah.
Make Draymond score 20. Make Kent Bazemore score 20. Make Mike Mulder come off the bench and score 20. They're not deep enough. The Warriors, unfortunately, are not deep enough to keep up with the Lakers. And when I look at the Lakers, I also think about LeBron's legacy. LeBron is coming into this game knowing, okay, if I get the win now, I get rest until Saturday when the playoffs start. I know the whole team does because AD needs it, LeBron needs it. LeBron also knows, okay, this could be the start of another piece of my legacy, winning the play-in game, beating the MVP. He quoted him as the MVP tonight. He said Steph's the MVP.
Wow.
Beating the MVP in his eyes and winning the play-in game to go and win the finals would be like another level to the GOAT combo that we'll have at the end of the season, man. I think this Laker team wins. I think the Laker team is better. They need the rest more. And I also think they want to match up with the Suns more than they want to match up with the Jazz right now.
True. Yeah, I think it's funny. You always see LeBron working, bro. He's always like working on his narrative, man. He's controlling kind of what's being said. Oh, Steph's the MVP. We're in the play-in game against the MVP, doing his thing. He's a smart dude, man. But I think you're right, man. Steph is traditionally, he's had some good series in the playoffs, but he's overall kind of struggled in the playoffs, and it's for the reasons that you said. People can key on him, right? And teams can get physical with him. And so both games will be at Staples. Yeah.
So the games will be at home. Yeah. So if they play the Lakers and the Lakers have to run twice, they will both be home games. It's just like they're playing at home. So if they have to go on the road, they have to go on the road. If they're at home, they're at home. But that's just the schedule that's been announced. So I'll repost the schedule right now for everybody as well to take a look at. But yeah, if you're at home, you are going to be at home during this time. So obviously the Pacers, Celtics, Grizzlies, and Lakers are all hosting these games. if Memphis happens to beat San Antonio and Golden State wins, Golden State will host the game. The Lakers win, the Lakers lose, I'm sorry, then they would host the game. So it really just depends on who the winner is. But yes, these will be played at their home stadiums.
So I got a question for you and for everybody out there. It seems like a success, right? This seems like the perfect scenario for the NBA. They got 2 superstars in the playoffs and the play-in tournament. What happens if this scenario plays out where the Lakers, they don't win and they get booted out of the playoffs completely? Mm-hmm. If that happens, whether it's somebody gets hurt or something like that happens, do you think the play-in tournament will be back next year? Or do you think, are they crazy enough?
I don't think the play-in tournament's back anyway next year. I think this is too many teams. 10 teams playing for playoff lives is too much. I think they experimented. The players hate it. And that's obviously the first sign when you got the players talking about it. And if LeBron happens to lose back-to-back games, this thing is going away forever. There's no way it stays around. I like the thought of it. I just don't think it applies to the NBA game. Unfortunately, I think that these players go through so much during the season. I think this season specifically, it worked. But in future seasons, regular seasons, there's no way in hell, man.
Right. I think it leads to too many potential things happening, right? Like somebody gets hurt for a game or two, somebody twists an ankle, or something like that. And the team that you want in the playoffs, that the NBA wants in the playoffs, is all of a sudden out of the playoffs. Yeah. I think Lakers are a good example of that, right? Like if somebody's out for a game or 2 games, they could potentially be out. And that's a huge hit for the NBA as far as TV ratings and all that stuff are concerned.
Very much so.
So we'll see, man. We'll see kind of how this plays out.
So in the West, you have the Warriors beating the Lakers, and then you have the Grizzlies beating the Spurs, followed by the Lakers beating the Grizz.
Yes.
How you have it?
That's what I think will happen.
So you got them flip-flop. So I got the Lakers and Warriors in the 7-8. You have the Warriors and Lakers 7-8.
I think, either way, the Warriors and the Lakers are going to be getting in.
All right, before we move to the East Coast, we got Nick with one more chime in on the Lakers. He said it's a fail season for the purple and gold. They need the motivation to win for Mamba. Yes, this is another Mamba season. Even after last year, that was the Mamba season. But even seeing Kobe going to the Hall of Fame, and that was such a sight to see this week. We had a couple special things happen this season. Before we get to the Eastern Conference, Kobe is a Hall of Famer, KG is a Hall of Famer, Duncan is a Hall of Famer. We watched them for a very long time. What was your thought seeing all these guys go in?
Yes, it's crazy to see those guys that I remember playing in college, So now I feel like, damn, I'm getting old, man. I remember these dudes being rookies and coming to the league. Yeah. That was such a great time in the league, man, and a really good time for power forwards. We saw I think Chris Webber got in too, right?
Chris Webber, he just got announced in for the next class.
A legend. So it's crazy to see, but that was prime for. I was just thinking about that. The power forward position has changed so much, man. Now power forwards are centers. And there is no power forward. There is no guy who kind of plays with his back to the basket and plays at the elbow. Those guys are centers now that are 6'10", 6'9", 6'11". So it was interesting to think about that. And now those guys are kind of cycling through and getting to the Hall of Fame. But such a great time for basketball, man. My prime years of watching basketball.
Our generation.
Yeah, we really just started kind of getting into it and following it and learning the game. And so it's great to see those guys getting the recognition they deserve.
It was dope, man. And, I think also just seeing this class and just hearing some of these names, even the next class seems like it's going to have a lot of talented names in it as well. It's a dope time as fans for us to kind of remember and really enjoy, give these guys their flowers while they're here. We didn't get to do a lot of that with Kobe. There was a lot of love-hate with him. But yeah, man, it was dope to see. And I just want to kind of touch on that before we headed over to the East. And also there was a really dope thing that happened today too. Before we get back into this play-in tournament in the East, there was a really dope thing that happened today too. Kyrie Irving, with everything that he has going on this season and the Nets have going on this season, 50, 40, and 90, man. That's a dope feat. Only ninth player ever in NBA history. 50, 40, and 90. Congratulations to Kyrie Irving. It's a dope accomplishment. If you don't really understand it, it's 50% from the field, 40% from the three-point line, 90% from the three-point line. Only 9 players in NBA history have ever done it.
Crazy. Yeah, that really just shows efficiency, man. Like, that's really what that shows. Somebody who has been playing long enough and is skilled enough to get to his spots on the court and take good shots and knock them down. I think he's, like you said, there's been a lot of noise around the Nets and a lot of noise around Kyrie Irving. But what's been kind of looked and overshadowed is really just how well he's been playing, man. He's been playing really well at a super high level.
It is. All right.
Yeah.
We're here on the East. You ready?
Yeah, let's get it.
Let's do it. So the East matchups, the 9 and 10, obviously we're talking Charlotte Hornets versus Indiana Pacers. And we saw the Hornets really slide down once LaMelo Ball and Gordon Hayward got hurt. They're in the 10 seed right now. Indiana's at home. And then in the 7 and 8, we got the exciting Washington Wizards, who we called on this show as making the playoffs. At least one of us did. And the Boston Celtics at the 7 seed. So that's going to be an interesting matchup because Boston's a little depleted. Jaylen Brown is out for the playoffs, out for the year, and the Wizards are running hot. So a little injuries versus hot team, kind of what we saw in the West, versus 2 teams that were sliding down, the Pacers and the Hornets. So let's actually start with the Wizards and the Boston Celtics this time. Who do you like in this series, Will?
Yeah, like you said, similar situations. One team that's trending way down and one team that's trending up. Like we called the Wizards, man. I had them higher in the playoff bracket, but I think if it was an 82-game season, you might have seen this team sneak into the 7th or 6th seed. Just the way things were going and the way that the East was kind of playing out. I like the Wizards a lot. I love Russ, especially in a one-game scenario, man. Everything on the line. This dude's going to lay it out. Bradley Beal, an elite-level scorer. They got some nice pieces around him. And right now, the Boston Celtics look like it's Jason Tatum or bust, Like, if he's dropping 50, they got an opportunity to win. If he doesn't drop 50, like, they really don't have much else going on. So I'm looking at the Wizards as being able to win this game.
It doesn't look good for the Celtics right now. You never know though. When you got a big shot maker like Jason Tatum in there, he can change the game. Sure. But this team's a little thin, and unfortunately, I think heads are going to roll after this series and potentially this playoff early exit. You also start to think about positioning too, and it's like, do the Wizards want to win this game and be matched up against the Nets, or do they want to potentially lose? I don't think anybody wants to lose. When you're looking at matchups, do you want to play the Nets or do you want to play the Sixers? Right. And I think Russ got a little revenge on his mind. I think he's looking at Harden, he's looking at KD, and he's like, okay, I'll beat you guys with just Beal. Yep. And I think that might be a series that not only is good for ratings, but is good for the league, man. When you see former teammates kind of going at each other, I got the Wizards winning the series and potentially making some noise when we do our playoff preview here in the next couple of days. I'll talk about the Wizards and what I think they could do.
Yeah, that would be absolutely wild, man, to see Russ, KD, James Harden, all in the same court, bro. Oh my goodness, man. The NBA needs that. The NBA needs that for sure.
And it sucks because I think the Celtics, they were really good last year. They had a really nice run. Brad Stevens is starting to get called out a little bit for his things. Danny Ainge is starting to look a little funny in the light now. I think people are kind of second guessing some of the moves he's making. Kemba can't stay healthy. Yeah. They didn't make enough moves at the deadline. Like getting Fournier was nice, but they needed Jaylen Brown. It's tough, man. I feel like the Boston Celtics are going to have a hard game against that 9 and 10. We have the Indiana Pacers and Charlotte Hornets. Who are you picking for that game?
I like the Hornets, even though they're sliding a little bit. I think they're super explosive. They're a team that can put up numbers, man. I think in this scenario against the Pacers, I just don't see the firepower there with the Pacers to be able to keep up with the Hornets. Right. I like the Pacers, though. I don't dislike the Pacers, but I feel like the Hornets are going to put up some numbers, and I don't think the Pacers can keep pace.
Man, I'm actually 100% the opposite. Unless something happens with Gordon Hayward and they happen to get him back, I think Miles Bridges is on his way back from COVID. I know he had the COVID scare late in the season, But I really like this Pacers team for one reason and one reason only. And his name is Karis LeVert.
Yeah,
Big shot maker, big shot taker. I want to see this dude in the last 5 minutes of that game because I know he's not letting his team down. Baby Kobe, man. That's what he reminds me of on the court. I love Karis LeVert's game, and I got a feeling the world is going to get to know Karis LeVert because of this playing game, man. LaMelo's wrist is still hurt, and Miles Bridges and Gordon Hayward are both out. I think this will be a tough game for them to win, man.
That's true. I like Malcolm Brogdon as well. I think he's such a solid point guard, man. He's super solid, steady guy. I'm looking forward to seeing Scary Terry, man. The world forgot about Terry Rozier and his performance with the Celtics back in the playoffs. That dude is a big game player, big shot maker. It'll be interesting to see him kind of get the opportunity to be back on that big stage. Since he left Boston, he really hasn't been back on that big stage. But now here's his opportunity to show the world who Scary Terry really is, man. So an interesting matchup, man, for sure.
I just hope we get to hear the Hornets announcers, man. Those dudes are crazy with the announcers, man. Miles Bridges or whatever they're yelling out during the games, man. LaMelo, man, obviously his wrist is hurt. And Nick is right. If he's shooting well, this is a scary team. Yeah. And if you can get those guys clicking on all cylinders, the only thing with them is they run real hot. Like, Terry Rozier will have games where he's ice cold. LaMelo will have games where he's ice cold. And this Pacers team really is kind of even keel. I think losing Miles Turner for them really hurt. So I'm not sure if he's even going to be back available for this game or not. But losing him really hurt. And I know Sabonis was banged up towards the end of the series. He's back now. So we'll see, man. It's going to be interesting. If I had to pick a winner, I'm picking the Pacers. So I got the Wizards and Pacers. You got Wizards and Hornets. Who do you got winning the Hornets-Celtics matchup?
I got the Hornets, man. I think the Celtics are just trending way down. If the Hornets are able to get that win, I feel like their confidence is going to be super high. They're going to come into the game hot. And if the Celtics lose, I feel like they're the kind of team. They're in the type of situation where they're just going to throw their hands up. We know we're getting fired. We know coach is getting fired. Danny Ainge is getting fired. I feel like the wheels are falling off for the Celtics right now. And I don't see it, man. I think the Hornets are going to sneak into the
It's tough, man, because we saw this team really fight last year, man. It's like they were coming into their own. I think Jaylen Brown getting hurt so late in the year, man. It was tough, dude, to watch this season, how they struggled out the gate. Then they made that push. Remember, they made that push. Tatum had COVID, so he started playing better. And then it's like they came crashing back down. So this team might need to hit the reboot button, unfortunately, this Boston Celtics team. And we mentioned that, too, earlier in the season. You called it, actually. You said it was a make-or-break season for the Celtics. And a lot of Celtics fans thought the window was wide open. They're thinking, hey, this window's wide open, and it truly isn't. It's we're going to find out a little bit about this Celtics team and what they're made of, because without Jaylen Brown, this team, I don't know if they are a playoff team. And, you got two hungry teams down there in 9 and 10 who are just starting to kick into gear. And I think this Pacers team is better than people give them credit for, too. So I think we're going to find out a lot about this Pacers team real soon. I think they lost Oladipo and got LeVert without losing anything. Yeah. And they were already a playoff team last year. All they need to do is be healthy. So we're going to find out, man. I'm excited for this playoff run. Are you, man?
Yeah, dude, I can't wait, man. Can't wait to get through these play-in. I like the play-in. I think it's going to be fun. I'm excited to watch it. And then let's get these playoffs started, man.
Yes, and so for those who are tuning in with us right now, watching the show, we will have Western Conference and Eastern Conference playoff previews later in the week. And we'll also be chiming in here and there about the games going on. If you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification button so you get the newest and greatest episodes when they come out. Make sure you also hit the like. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so share this channel with your friends, with your sports colleagues. Let them know Just Hoop Talk. We are here in the building. Any parting thoughts, Will?
No, man. Let's get to these games. I'm excited for it.
Yes, sir. Just Hoop Talk, another edition in the books.
Yeah.
We're out.
Peace.